fans. This is Kurt Deville with Counterpunch Boxing News, and I am live yet again for the serious question I have to ask everyone that is coming on the live stream. This live stream is about the former IBF heavyweight champion of the world, Daniel Dubois. And the question is, what will he do? What's next for him? What's in store for him? You know, I've been doing a lot of videos today. And a lot of people has a lot to say about Daniel Dubois. Quan Big Guns in the building, the #1 crowned ranking supporter. Salute. Counterpunch to you, brother. And you guys come in, hit that like button. Kurt, can you make me a wrench? You know, Counterpunch, I salute. I am panties. Yeah, Quan Big Guns, we're going to work around to that. I am going to do some more cooking today. I got a lot to do. Damn. But you guys come in, hit that like button. So the question is, Daniel Dubois, what does he do from here? What does Daniel Dubois do? And before we start piling up in here, let's start a poll. I'm pretty sure. Let's see. Mama Lou, counterpunch to you. Let's see. All right. Cool. Michael Hunter next. You know what? Like anybody that knows boxing, and we know about Michael Hunter. Michael Hunter is that guy that people don't want to fight. And it's a reason you don't. Tyson Fury stays away from him. Huey Fury, his cousin, had a fight with him and then decided, you know, he had some kind of illness or whatever. I stood corrected with Huey because Huey Fury, I was not aware of his conditions that he had. But, you know, it's crazy that he had a fight with Michael Hunter, but it would seem like that's the fight you want. But Michael's in a good position, and I think that's his only call right now. His best shot is to stay exactly where he's at. Strange things is happening to Michael Hunter, but I doubt that's where Daniel Dubois is going to go. Babsy 627, hello there. Counterpunch to you. Yia Poteja, hello there. Ben Moore, I want to see Frank Sanchez get back in the mix. I rate him. Frank Sanchez is in a not financial, but a promotional process right now. I mean, the promotional side to a lot of those fighters over there, especially when you're dealing with Al Heyman. As you guys know, Al Heyman is not just completely finished, but he's not exactly in the loop. He's probably where, I don't want to say Don King because he's in a better position than Don King, but keep in mind that the PBC, the Prime, they're still dealing with pay-per-view. Well, Turkey Al-Sheikh wants pay-per-view dead. So they're going to have to come to some type of agreement, you know, with the Zone. Because if it's either the Zone or Prime, and Turkey Al-Sheikh doesn't deal with Prime. So we don't really know what's going to happen with that. But Frank Sanchez, needless to say, he is dealing with that. So I don't know what's going to happen with Frank. I just hope his knee is okay. So when it is time to rock and roll, he can get back at him. You know what I mean? So he needs to be back. I think him and his handlers need to talk to Turki Al-Sheikh and ensure him that he's back, because I think that's his best card to play right now. I think it's Turki Al-Sheikh. I think because he was beaten, but he beat Junior Fa. He knocked the blood out of his nose when he fought him in the Days of Reckoning. He lost to Aget Kabayel, so he's 1-1. And keep in mind though, Turki Al-Sheikh gives chances to people that he feels deserves chances, and we don't know if he thinks that Frank Sanchez deserves another chance. We don't know. But if I was Frank, I would be talking to Turki Al-Sheikh and ensure him that, hey, he's ready to fight. He's out of surgery. You know, he's already had a tune-up fight, and I think it's time for him to get back into the saddle too. And I rate Frank Sanchez, you know, very highly, because he's one of those guys that people overlook. See, the guy that he beat, that he dethroned, Efe Ajagba, is ahead of him now. So it would be in his best interest to either take a fight with Efe Ajagba, which is a tough fight because I think Efe Ajagba, that well-oiled robot people call him, has done a lot for his improvement. Okay, he has put some oil on those kinks, and he has improved, and he's a much better fighter now. So Frank, I think I would go to that route, because the second fight is warranted, because Frank Sanchez showed how good of a boxer he really was, or a rematch with Aget Kabayel, because you know it's hard for him to get a fight because he doesn't really want one. So, I mean, not that he doesn't want one, he just can't get one, right? I want to see, no, Dubois versus Chisora would be a very interesting fight. Understand something. Derek Chisora is smarter than that. He's not going to go in there and give Chisora, he's not going to give him a fight because Daniel is not ranked anywhere near where he is now. See, Chisora is in a better position than Danny Dubois because Danny Dubois just lost. So since Daniel just lost, why would he then give Daniel an opportunity back in? Okay, it's just almost like Joseph Parker and Danny Dubois now. Now, that could be a fight that would happen, but if I'm Joseph, I'm going to start to get a little bitter, which I think Joseph is, which I'm going to talk about Joseph tomorrow in my live stream. I'm going to start early because I got to break down Joseph, but this is Danny Dubois. Danny Dubois versus Derek Chisora. Derek Chisora is not going to fight him because there's nothing in it for him, period. It's nothing in that for him. There is no reward for him fighting Danny Dubois now. Danny Dubois came up short. Why would Derek let him back in to take his position of where he's at? He's the #1 right now in the IBF. So why would he then turn back around and fight Danny Dubois? I don't think that that's what's going to happen. DJ Emo. What's up, Kurt? Hope you're well, big sir. Word on the street is Dubois is having a week after the fight party. Is having a week after the fight party. What does that mean? Dubois versus Caballero would be nice. That would be a good fight that I wanted to see anyway. Dubois, I wanted Dubois to be that front runner to fight these guys, the Parkers, the Caballeros, the Zangs, the Bacalis. If you match Danny Dubois with any of those guys, I mean any of those guys that I just named, oh yeah, I would love to see all of those fights. Let those fights be. Let them happen. Let those fights happen. Absolutely. Yeah, let those fights happen. Maybe Fabio Wardley. Yeah, Fabio would be a good fight for him. But then Frank knows, and he's pulling the strings, and I think he's pretty good at it. I don't think he would want Fabio in there with Danny Dubois. I think he would try to get Danny Dubois in there with Joseph Parker. That would be a smart move for him. since they're all signed to Frank. Frank has Caballero, he has Parker, he has Danny Dubois, he has all those guys. They're all signed with the same managers and stuff like that. And Queensberry is the place where they'll be fighting. Queensberry has came up in a big freaking way, guys. I'm going to tell you. Babsy, they're going to have to put him in with someone that's going to draw a big crowd and make tons of money. It's not about what the fans want. Well, the question is, who would that be? It could be Joshua. Joshua would be the only person that I know that he can make some bread on, because people are going to want to see if AJ can avenge that loss, because that puts AJ back into the door, but then not by much, because Usyk has rebeat him, and then people are now still over the straddling the fence about Dubois quitting or not. Did he get knocked out or did he quit? So that's going to be something that people are now asking questions about. So even if AJ beats Dubois and he beats him in a way that's kind of similar to the way he's been beaten, we're going to ask that question, and a lot of people will. So I don't think that they'll give Joshua much credit for going back in there and winning on a rematch, because we don't know, because people are going to say Daniel was damaged, he wasn't the same because he was in there with the Ukrainian king with the Ivan punch. So they don't really know that yet. Metalbox J, what's up, brother? Counterpunch to you. Dubois versus Dillian White. You know what? I think that would be a good fight as well, because Daniel Dubois and Dillian White would be a nice scrap. The problem is they both have good jabs. I think it depends on what Dillian would do with Moses. See, if Moses stops Dillian White, that would be a good comeback fight for Dillian White on out the door. Because if Moses knocks out Dillian White and then Dubois wants to come back, I think that would be the perfect fight. Jump on Dillian White now so Dillian White could get paid, and then that'll probably be his last fight. So Moses Atoma, then Danny Dubois is not a bad way to go out of the sport, especially if you're on that level, especially on the level. Because you got to keep in mind, Dan Dubois lost his strap, but he's not too far down the totem pole. So I think that would be a good fight for him. Danny Dubois versus Dillian White is a fight that I've also been interested in. Chris 09. Dubois just needs a fight to stop his rankings bleeding. Then he picks fights to rebuild. TNC Fitness, no gym, no life. It's got to be Triple D versus AJ rematch. I wouldn't be surprised if that happened. I just don't know if Eddie wants to take that chance, because, see, that's a lose, win, winner takes all. Because, see, if Daniel gets beat by AJ, he's finished. If AJ gets beat by Daniel, he's finished. Whoever loses that fight, they're done. Listen. That's a fight where you have a 1996 SS Impala. That's Anthony Joshua. Versus a 2003 Ford Marauder. That's Danny Dubois. I use those comparisons to those two cars, and I compare them to those two cars simply based off the fact that Frank signed Daniel because he found out what the young Daniel, before he came a pro, did to Anthony Joshua that was already a pro. You guys do know that, right? That's why Frank signed him. Frank signed Dubois off the strength of the rumors that Dubois knocked out AJ in sparring. So he was like, well, look, if he knocks out AJ, and I know that Eddie Hearn over at Matchroom is prepping AJ to be this huge star. Then you got this kid that ain't even been signed yet, ain't even a pro yet. Knocked him out in sparring. So that's why Frank Warren signed him. That's why he pushed him so hard. See, Frank's winning right now. Frank Warren, the promoter, is winning right now. And you can tell he's getting a little ballsy. If you can remember, him and Turkey kind of had conflicting words about Turkey saying, I think that pay-per-view is over if the piracy is crazy, so we don't need pay-per-view, right? And then Frank said, well, I think for pay-per-view you're gonna need some kind of you're gonna need an overhead, you're gonna need a back paywall. And remember that he was saying all that shit. So it is what it is. Michael Hunter versus Dubois would be nice. That would be a good fight if Michael could get those type of fights. I'm not sure if he could though. See, Mike, it's crazy. See, some fighters get the gold treatment. You know, they get the silver spoon. Michael Hunter ain't one of them. Michael Hunter made one mistake, and he's been paying for that mistake for the last 4 years. That's the sad part about Michael Hunter. Michael Hunter should have fought Filip Hrgovic. You know, Filip Hrgovic eventually got beat by who? Danny Dubois. So, because he didn't take that fight, because he didn't take that A-side advantage, because he didn't want to deal with Eddie Hearn, because of the run-in he had with Eddie Hearn 2 years before that, and he didn't want to fight overseas, which was weird because he did his exhibition overseas. You know, he forfeited a lot of success, and that would have been the way for Michael Hunter to get those fights. See, he would have fought Danny Dubois, and if he would have fought Danny Dubois and beat Danny Dubois, he would have fought Anthony Joshua because there wouldn't be no Dubois if he would have beat Dubois. Because Dubois beat who? Dubois beat Hrgovic. If he would have fought Hrgovic, he would have beat Hrgovic and been in the position that Hrgovic was in, and then he would have been waiting on the IBF. And then they would have stripped Usyk because Usyk probably wouldn't have want to fight Michael Hunter. And that would have been understandable because Usyk already fought and beat Michael Hunter in the cruiserweight division. So that probably wouldn't be a fight that nobody would really go for or care for as much. But what would have happened, Michael Hunter would have been the IBF champion because he would have ended up fighting who? Danny Dubois. Danny Dubois was already there from where he was. Okay, where he worked his way back up to become. Okay, so that 5 versus 5, it depends if Mike would have went with Eddie to be on that 5 versus 5, because remember that was a Turkey card. So Turkey would have had prior knowledge of Michael Hunter, you know what I mean, versus now. Now he's still fighting on the Don King stuff, and now that particular date has been pushed back. So it's not going to be on August 3rd. It's going to be longer or farther away. So that's not really cool, man. It's not really cool for Michael. But I mean, it just shows you that the avenue and the way you move can dictate a lot of things in your career. You know what I mean? You can make a mistake like that and really don't know that you made that damn mistake. So Justice Hooney versus Dubois would be good, or Wilder versus Dubois, heavy-handed fight. I don't know if I don't know. That would be a good fight, though. I would like to see that because that could be like a precursor for someone like Joshua and Wilder. And I do kind of think when it comes to Wilder, you know, he's fallen through the cracks a lot faster than people notice or realize, because the fight he had with Herndon, Curtis Harper has came out and said that, hey, he's supposed to fight me, and then all of a sudden he's fighting Herndon. So it looks like Wilder, not only did he have a mediocre performance, the guy that he was supposed to fight, Curtis Harper, the guy that walked out on Efe Ajagba, saying that Wilder ducked him, and they already had a contract signed, and he signed the contract on his end. So I'm imagining they got that contract and they ripped it up and they decided to go with Herndon. I don't know why, but it looks bad for Wilder, and that's the last thing we heard from Wilder was that. You know, Wilder's always trying to get that AJ fight, but shit, he can't get a good winning streak. He beat Helenius, and then he get beat by Parker, then he got beat by Zane, and both of those times he was in gear to redeem himself to possibly get the fight with Joshua. The only problem is Joshua just got knocked out by Danny Dubois, and we ain't seen him since. So both sides of that equation looks like that fight's not going to happen just due to misfortune, right? So I'm tired of all these rematches and trilogies. It's ridiculous already. That's holding up a lot of a lot. That's why those stupid belts, the best fight, the best. Babsy, I do agree with you, but now we're seeing this is more of a from a financial standpoint. People are doing things to fill stadiums, so they're looking for stadium fights. And the thing about Joseph Parker, which I will go into depth tomorrow, they don't believe in him. Okay, they don't believe in Joseph Parker to sell stadium fights, which in essence they don't think that Alexander Usyk can carry the marketing side of filling a stadium, which they should realize. Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, sure it was Anthony Joshua, but that was 60,000 people in Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, and he beat Joshua there. Okay, he beat Joshua there, and then he comes back to Wembley, and then he beats Danny Dubois in Wembley. 96,000 people in Wembley. I don't think it beat Joshua versus Dubois. I don't think so. But I don't think it was supposed to. But what is the point? The point is, whoever Usyk brings aboard, he can fill those seats, and I think they need to have faith in that, which I don't think they do. So I think they need someone from Great Britain to feel that, to carry that promotional banner, to sell, to put people in those seats, because I think what they're trying to do, they're trying to definitely get someone dependable enough to sell Wembley Stadium like Tyson Fury. That's why they're pushing the Tyson Fury trilogy. That's all they're doing. That's why they're doing it. They don't even care who won or who really did this. They don't care. They just want big stadium fights. Bear shit bara Elohim. Dubois versus Franklin. Dubois versus Franklin. That is a fight that probably could happen. Remember, that is a guy that I don't know. I don't know what's Jermaine Franklin's deal, because I haven't seen Jermaine Franklin in a while. I know he had a home fight. Let me look him up real quick. Let me grab my phone. Jermaine Franklin. Okay, so Jermaine Franklin's last fight was... This dude got a haircut. He's changed his box rec. So he's had a fight in May, which I didn't see. It was against Devin Vargas, and he won in the 6th round. The fight was stopped against Devin Vargas. Devin Vargas is a fighter I never heard of. He's 22-11-8, right? So I haven't heard of Devin Vargas. He's fought Zhilei Zhang. Zhilei Zhang stopped him. Charles Martin stopped him. Junior Fa stopped him. Andy Ruiz stopped him. Dominic Brazil stopped him. Yeah, so he's been in there. So that was a pretty much pick 'em fight, and that was the fight I believe was in Detroit. So that was his hometown fight. So he fought Devin Vargas. And then Isaac Munoz Gutierrez. And that was a guy that was undefeated at the time. But since then, he's lost to Richard Torres as well. So, it's crazy. So Jermaine Franklin could be a good fight because, he's on a winning streak. He has 2 losses himself. But those 2 losses, of course, is to Dillian White and then Anthony Joshua. And then those fights were pretty competitive, especially the Dillian White fight. I expected more out of AJ. I thought AJ could knock out Jermaine Franklin, but I just come to the realization you're not going to knock everybody out. On top of Jermaine Franklin, this is a durable bloke. Okay, so, he's a tough kid. 23 wins, 2 losses with 15 KOs. Pretty decent record. I would do it because Jermaine Franklin, he's caught on. He realizes that, look, I'm not going to be a heavyweight champion. That Andy Ruiz shit comes once in a lifetime. But I do want to get paid. So I understand him wanting to take those fights. And I think he would. If they offer him 3 or 4 million, Jermaine Franklin will be back in the gym Monday. Yeah. But, first of all, we do know that Danny Dubois is going to take 6 months off. He's going to take 6 months off, mental evaluation, physical evaluation, all that. He's going to take 6 months off. So we do know that. Okay, Quan Big Guns. Is Usyk juicing? Okay. Hold on a second. Cool. Is Usyk juicing? Couldn't KO Witherspoon, Chisora, or AJ, but now heavyweight. Now how can he KO Fury and Triple D? Well, Quan Big Guns, keep in mind something really important. For one, Danny Dubois' ass is in question because they were saying that about Daniel, right? Wouldn't people saying in the trenches, in the comments, that Danny Dubois was juicing? Didn't we hear that? Wasn't there a rumor that Danny Dubois was juicing? That's why he was going to Brazil. So now Usyk is doing that. But didn't Danny Dubois, isn't he being accused of quitting now? You see what I'm saying? So that, like, to say that Usyk's juicing because he didn't do that to Chaz Witherspoon or Chisora or AJ, keep in mind he was also new to the weight class. He wasn't as big as he is now. He gradually picked up some weight, and I think now he's a full-fledged heavyweight. But I will say this. Danny Dubois may not have legitimately got knocked out either. He might have just said, fuck it. He got hit with a good shot. But I think maybe mentally he checked out. So it's not the power you're seeing or witnessing. It's more or less the unwillingness from Danny Dubois because he showed that skin yet again, and that skin was very thin. Bars. Okay? All right, Babsy. That's what I'm trying to figure out. Who would that be? Who? Tony Lyon, Joe Kurt just pulled over to see if you was on. I got lucky. I'm on a long drive and just pulled over for a coffee. Where you going, Tony? Tony, where you going over here? Please, anybody in the chat, Usyk is not a juicer. I haven't heard from him juicing. Like, to hear stuff like that, I don't give any energy to it, man, because that's going to happen. You know, I'm going to break something down to you real quick. And it makes perfectly good sense. One thing I noticed about Alexander Usyk has secret haters. People hate Alexander Usyk, and it's not because he's from the Ukraine or he's not because he's not British. No, people don't like Alexander Usyk because Alexander Usyk beat AJ. So what happened? You had a lot of AJ fans. They either did three things. They either left AJ, stopped watching boxing, like a lot of people stopped watching boxing after AJ lost, or they became Usyk fans, or they became Usyk haters. So a lot of people don't like Alexander Usyk is because he messed up the possibility of seeing a British showdown between AJ and Tyson Fury. A lot of people are butthurt about that. So they look at Usyk as a spoiler. They look at this guy as someone that crashed a party, that ruined the whole ordeal, that lost millions of dollars to these fighters, which that is true. Usyk is the reason why AJ and Tyson are not fighting. Usyk. Because Tyson Fury beat Deontay Wilder for the third time. AJ couldn't beat Alexander Usyk when he fought him anytime. The two times that he fought him, he lost. He came up short. In that fight, when he's supposed to satisfy the WBO, right? Because that fight was supposed to be made earlier, but they were dicking around with Wilder. If you guys can remember the formation and the story behind AJ and Tyson Fury, they agreed to fight in 2020 during COVID. They agreed verbally. Then the contract between Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder was supposed to have been expired, right? It's an expired contract. So they kept that shit up for the longest. And then that was a big question. So it was a big question. Oh, well, is it valid? Is it expired? Because Bob Arum said, it's expired. I'm a lawyer. I know what the fuck I'm talking about. It's an expired contract, right? Then Tyson Fury was supposed to have a tune-up to fight Aget Kabayel. That fight didn't happen, if you guys can remember. So then all of a sudden that fight just went away. Then comes January of 2021. That fight was supposed to be this time, and they're looking for dates. And you had Eddie Hearn flying all around the world. You guys remember that, right? He was looking for venues, Saudi Arabia, Great Britain. He was looking for wherever they could host that fight. And they were dicked around and dicked around and dicked around. And all of a sudden, one day, Wilder versus Tyson Fury was announced. Then you seen Tyson Fury signing that shit on ESPN's contract to fight Deontay Wilder. You guys remember that, right? So that's what happened. Then Wilder then decided to negotiate with Alexander Usyk because he was the WBO, because he was coming from, he was destined, he was the mandatory on that end because he was the undisputed cruiserweight champion, and they have stipulations where the cruiserweight champion can fight for the weight class above the weight class that he became undisputed in. And needless to say, he was at cruiserweight, so Usyk went to heavyweight, got his shot at AJ, and upset AJ. That's what happened. But Tyson fought Wilder and beat Wilder. But keep in mind, Tyson versus Wilder was supposed to be on July 23rd of 2021. It was moved because Tyson lied and said he had COVID, which that was a lie. He got his ass whooped by Jared Anderson. That's why they praised him so much. Oh, Jared Anderson, he's going to be the next champ. Oh, he's got the goods. He has the gifts. He's a special fighter because he beat the shit out of Tyson Fury. You seen Tyson all marked up talking about I got COVID? No, you didn't get COVID. You got your ass whooped. Okay, so then they moved it to October 9th. So they went from July 23rd to October 9th. Okay, and then they ended up fighting, and then that's when Tyson Fury beat Deontay Wilder. The rest is, history. Okay, so shame Teofimo Stevenson didn't turn pro. Yeah, dude, that's water under the bridge. I mean, that was one brainwashed Cuban. That dude was proud of the Communist Party, bro. I'm going to tell you. I mean, he is the result of how the Cuban government wants all Cubans to think. And that was, needless to say, Mr. Stevenson. He loved his Cuban people. And guess what? He died in that country as well. So, politics is a hell of a thing, man. That's like second through religion. No, listen, Daniel got exposed just like AJ and Fury by a brilliant boxer in that he knows how to fight. So why is everybody from Britain, unless they're top people now know how great he is? What the F? Jay Walker, they stalled Wilder and AJ. Let Fury always beat the count. And for a stalled rematch, I'm a whatever. Okay, Bomb Squad fan. I'm sorry. They stalled. I mean, yeah, they stalled it. I mean, they didn't have to. That's what I didn't realize. They didn't understand. They didn't have to. And then you started to learn more about Tyson Fury, that when they do negotiations, they do little bullshit games. See, they played AJ and Eddie for a long time. They played them for 6 months. Really longer than that, honestly, because they agreed to fight maybe May of 2020. Once that happened, they were supposed to be getting their shit together. It doesn't take that long to make a fight like that. And they were talking about Queensberry and then what it's going to be on. This is before DAZN took over everything. So keep in mind, Queensberry was still using BT Sports. You know what I mean? Just like Eddie and AJ used to be signed to Sky Sports, you also had BT. Before everybody migrated over to DAZN. So, that being said, you had Tyson Fury, then you had AJ, but then you had Wilder with legitimate negotiations. And that was a blow for a strike for the Wilder fans because they were saying see, I told you Tyson Fury's a liar and he's full of shit. See, they've been saying that since the year before in 2020, that he was a cheater and he had shit in his gloves and everything else was wrong as well, right? Well, now that he had to fight Wilder, that made Tyson Fury look worse than he really did. You know what I mean? Because he caught him in a lie. Because the whole thing is this mediator, right? The mediator came in and then, oh, he has to fight. Which I thought that was bullshit because Bob Arum, in fact, was already looking for venues for the fight that's supposed to have been expired. So, they bullshitted a lot of people. They did. Dubois versus AJ too, they both lost like AJ to avenge that loss. I think, but again, it's up to Eddie though. It's up to Eddie if Eddie really wants that type of challenge or risk for Danny Dubois because Danny Dubois now has nothing to offer. None of those guys all of them now are former champions. Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua, Danny Dubois, Deontay Wilder, all of them are former champions. None of them have straps. Now, for the interim guys, you have Joseph Parker, Justice for Joseph. Then you have the WBC interim heavyweight champion, Aget Kabayel. Then you have the number one, which is Derek Chisora. He got there because they gave it to him because Martin McCauley lost to Joseph Parker because he was going to fight Efe Ajagba for that number one. If you guys can remember that. Now it belongs to Derek Chisora. So basically Derek Chisora is a emailed number one ranked fighter because of that. Then you have who on the WBA end? Then you have Fabio Wardley, then you have Michael Hunter fighting Pulev, then he'll fight Fabio Wardley, then hopefully he can get a shot. So it's a lot going on in the sport of boxing, and it's definitely more than what people think it is. But as far as Danny Dubois goes, I think Danny Dubois is a good lad, Joseph Parker ducked. He is now 227 pounds, perfect weight for being a heavyweight, and they still call him a middleweight. Yeah, they do it. But he's still kicking everybody's ass, so nobody cares. Who cares? Good legacy fight for Wilder is Chisora versus Wilder. Wilder, Chisora, Parker, all of those guys, Kabayel too. They're all looking for their just due. They're looking for their opportunity that they feel that's owed to them. They feel justified and no, I think I'm going to wait. I do want Usyk to fight Wilder. I know you do, Quan Big Guns. I know you do. Jax Man. Oh, I don't know what that was. Deleted comment. Parker deserves his shot at the goal. No trilogies with Luke Partridge. Well, here's the sad thing. What they don't understand is the more people that speak up against Tyson Fury fighting Usyk for the third time, and it gets made, is the less people that's going to show up to put asses on the seats, in the seats. People say, oh man, that's a bullshit fight. Some people will show up. But here's the thing. I think it's going to be a percentage of people that already seen those two fights, already seen them both, and have been convinced like there's no need to come out of our pocket to spend some money to see the same shit. And so Turkey, what he's trying to do corporate-wise and business-wise, will probably end up fucked because the people that showed up for the first two fights won't show up for the third fight because it doesn't mean anything. There's nothing warranted. Tyson Fury didn't come back and beat like the best guy. He didn't come beat a Caballero, which he says he'll never fight. I wonder why that is. Because maybe Caballero will punch that fucking fat gut into submission. You know what I mean? He'll punch the guts out of your belly. He'll punch your kidney and liver out. That's why. I think you're afraid of Aget Caballero. I think that's what it is. He's never been defeated. I do think Joseph Parker is a friend of his, and he did say prior. But Aget Caballero, you was going to fight him already, and you've seen the destruction that he's left behind him, and you don't want to be no part of it. Tyson Fury, you're afraid to fight Aget Caballero. So is, I think, other fighters. I think Aget Caballero is a guy that is a nice bloke, and he may be too damn nice to get an opportunity to fight amongst these wolves. He's like a ram. He's like a sheep with horns, with rams. He can ram these wolves away, but there are wolves. Some of them, some of these wolves have sheep clothing. Hit them too. Guys, this dude's small. Quan Big Guns know nothing about boxing. He said Dubois will beat Usyk in round 1. Nikki Blue Eyes Austin. Hey, Kurt and everybody here. In my opinion, Daniel father will probably tell Daniel to retire. He's a multimillionaire to me. Daniel father runs and says everything that goes around Daniel. That's true. I think if his father recommended it, he probably would retire. And I don't blame him if he did. If I was Danny Dubois, I would do exactly what makes me happy now. See, Stan was such a Joe Jackson. Just like I brought that analogy, that comparison up. I know Spencer Farron did it, but I already said it. He's more like Joe Jackson. He controls shit, Lennox versus Usyk. Did you see how easy Lennox dealt with Holyfield? But Holyfield is not Usyk, and Holyfield fights on the inside, and Usyk doesn't necessarily have to fight on the inside. Usyk has better footwork than Holyfield. Holyfield is probably a better inside fighter because he's American. We're geared like that. But he uses other tactics, upper body movement. He likes to fight on the inside, which someone like Lennox Lewis won't give him that opportunity because Lennox Lewis is 6'4", and why would Lennox Lewis give up height to somebody shorter like Evander Holyfield? You see what I mean? Evander is trying to get in to land those shots to make create something, to land and score on the inside and probably take Lennox Lewis out, but it never happened. That's not Usyk. Usyk does not fight like Holyfield at all. So don't think that fight will go just like Lennox Lewis fighting Holyfield those couple times. And then really to call it a buck, the first fight was a robbery that they called a draw, but the second fight could actually be called a draw between Lennox Lewis and Evander Holyfield. I remember that. I'm like, well, hell, this fight actually looks more like a draw than the first robbery. But guess what? It was a decent fight, and Holyfield did come to fight that time. He didn't have a third round knockout prediction. So in the third round, he tried to give it his all, and he burned himself out, and Lennox Lewis peppered his ass from rounds 4 to rounds 12. Usyk would make Lewis look slow. No, I don't think he would make him look slow at all. Hell no. This ain't AJ. And see, Lennox Lewis had good stamina too. He was also a guy that stayed in shape. That right hand, bro. If he caught you with that right hand, because Lennox Lewis turned over that right hand. He didn't shoot it out. No, he turned into that shot. So if he caught you, he's going to drop you because the way he throws it and he commits to that shot. Lennox Lewis probes with that jab. This is Lennox Lewis. Lennox will sit there. He will sit there and bow. He turns his whole body into it. And then that'll what knocks a lot of guys out. Ask Hasim Rahman, the second fight. Because Rahman knocked his ass out the first fight. But that's what he does. Ask Francois Botha. Okay? Ask Mike Tyson. Okay? Ask these guys. Lennox Lewis didn't play that shit. Lennox Lewis committed to his shots. He punched with mean intentions. And he catches you from afar, but he sets it all up with that jab, bro. And he turns in on it. And then when he turns, he kind of slips out of position if he misses. But a lot of times, if he lands that jab, 9 times out of 10, that right hand is going to come right behind it. Okay, and then he had a wicked left hook too, and then that right uppercut was a monster. So Lennox Lewis had a lot of weapons in his repertoire. So don't get it twisted. Lennox Lewis 6'4", Usyk is 6'3". I mean, the whole thing is, the problem with that fight is I've never seen Lennox Lewis fight someone like Usyk. Now, if he would have fought and dealt with Chris Bird easily, that's more of a comparable style to someone that has speed and that's slick, and that's a southpaw. But other than that, there's nobody to compare Lennox Lewis to that he fought that would convince me that he would just wipe the floor with Usyk. I think Usyk would give him all types of problems. But then again, that right hand is a beast. So Usyk has to be very careful. Or that right uppercut. So it's the right uppercut, the straight right, the overhand right rather. Yeah, those were hellified punches, bro. Lennox Lewis is 6'5". You know what? I do think Lennox is taller than Danny Dubois. I think he's a bit taller because you know why? Lennox Lewis was in the dressing room of Tyson Fury. And he was looking Tyson, they were looking eye to eye, bro. You know what I mean? They were like here. So I'm like, wait a minute. Lennox Lewis is taller than 6'4", and we know Tyson Fury is no longer 6'9", if he ever was 6'9". So I mean, he might be 6'4", 6'5", but I mean, Lennox Lewis is a big dude. He's a big dude. These British, I have a problem with anybody that's not British. Well, sorry guys, sorry. Oh my God, I'm far right. I love how people talk about the third and fourth best fighters of their era, acting like they were all unimaginable. Lennox Lewis was in another league. My son is 6'9", and I'm not joking, Kurt. Damn. Damn. Like Kevin Hart. Kurt, I can see Jai Pattaya moving to heavyweight near soon. I mean, he has unfinished business, though, Jai Pattaya, at cruiserweight. And if he doesn't do what he wanted to do at cruiserweight, that meant he wasn't trying to hang around at cruiserweight. Um, would I fault him for doing so? No. But then he can't follow the true footsteps or the exact footsteps of Alexander Usyk if he doesn't unify at cruiserweight. You see what I'm saying? So if he doesn't unify with Zerto, but Zerto, I understand, is a guy that Mauricio Suleiman, it doesn't look good. Lewis is just a bitter old man, doesn't like it because his legacy is being battered by Usyk. Don't respect Lennox Lewis now. Well, I think that's a lot of people, though. Carl Froch, Lennox Lewis, Bernard Hopkins. It's a lot of people that have vested interest in their own legacy and their own records that they've broken. So I don't blame them. Riddick Bowe mentally right would have smashed Lennox Lewis at their peak, and I know he ducked Lewis. Yeah. He did duck Lewis. Bottom line, Deontay hits harder than all of them except Foreman. We don't know how Wilder punches now. I want to see him in there with somebody that he's able to knock out. That's what I want to see from Wilder. I want to see that evidence. I want to see that Luis Ortiz, Deontay Wilder Part 2, the rematch, where he caught Luis Ortiz with that right hand and straight dropped him. Bah! He was done. Now people argue that count was a little fast. And I don't think it was really fast. I just think the ref was just like, but I mean, he got up. Wilder versus Chisora, that's up to Chisora. I don't think Chisora would want that fight with Wilder, and what would it benefit him fighting Wilder? You got to understand, this is Derek Chisora. He's a veteran. He's not a moron. He's not this wet behind the ears, happy-go-lucky, hungry-ass fighter. No, he's a veteran, and he knows better than to take certain fights. If the fights are not benefiting him, if they're not paying him enough money, he's going to tell them so. That's Derek Chisora. Derek Chisora will be the main one that says, you know what, I want more money, man. You don't want money, I'll leave right now. Eddie, I want more money. You want us to host this show, you want us to headline, but you want to use this, but you're not paying us, Eddie. So Derek Chisora, yeah, he's not going to just take any fight now. But he shouldn't supposed to at 41, 42 years of age. He's wise enough to know this is the fight that's going to make more sense or make the most money. That makes more sense to me. Not a Deontay Wilder fight. Unless Deontay Wilder does something crazy like knock out AJ or something like that. That would be something if a fight ever gets made between those two. Do you think Usyk will take the Parker fight or vacate? I don't know. I have no idea, but I can tell you this. The WBC has already done some bullshit. They've already gave amnesty to Usyk. So he doesn't have to fight anybody on the WBC. And so basically, Caballero will probably miss his opportunity. They say they will look back at it in December, so we have to count the months. So in December, remember that Mauricio Suleiman said that they're going to check in December to see what's going on to review a possible mandatory for that particular belt. But don't quote them on that because they could always push that shit to February. Oh, I'm sorry, April. Oh, I'm sorry, June of 2026 because that's Mauricio Suleiman for you. Well, we don't want to push our new champion. We know that Alexander Usyk has other belts and other obligations, so we will not push this fight for so fast. We will give him ample time. Yeah. Joshua to fight Butterbean if he fights Jake Paul. Want to make bed the prince. Want to make bed the prince is gonna try to make that fight the trilogy with Usyk. Want to make a bet? I believe you. No, I know. I know what you said. Want to make a bet? Probably. That's my fear, and then that's what I'm talking about. That's basically what we have. That's basically what we have. Caballero gives Usyk problems. I think Caballero gives a lot of people problems, let alone probably stops a lot of people, if not everybody. Caballero may be that dude. He may be that dude that can beat everybody. But you know something? Here's the crazy thing. If Caballero beat everyone in the division, if he beat Usyk, then turned around and beat Dubois, because what's going to happen if Usyk falls, everybody is going to go after the person that beat Usyk, right? So if Caballero beat Usyk, then all of a sudden out of nowhere, here comes Danny Dubois. Then here comes Joseph Parker, and then comes Derek Chisora, and then comes Michael Hunter or Fabio Wardley. It's going to be so many people that come step forth when the king finally falls. They're then going to want to fight the guy that did it. Everybody's going to want an opportunity. Just like everybody wanted an opportunity coming into Usyk's face after that fight was over, congratulations, I want to give you, they want the opportunity because they want something. They're saying congratulations because they want an opportunity to fight next. So it is what it is. Caballero has the best chance of cracking Usyk. He just got to go to the body, wear him down, and if he can do that, if you can imagine, though, all the body punches that Caballero throws, there's going to be a lot of signaling to the referee. Oh, yeah. Kurt, Kurt, you should be the fight broski. What the hell is that? Be at the fight broski. DJ, what's up, brother? Counterpunch to you. True, but I think Caballero is the next king. Lewis untouchable in his 20s. I don't know about his 20s. Maybe his early 30s. Kurt, Danny Dubois versus Frank Sanchez. I'm going for Sanchez. He's my guy, but I think that'll be a good fight. Berkeley Moses, counterpunch to you, Kurt. Do you think AJ wants to rematch Dubois? I don't know. I think he's trying to see what else is out there because, looking at Dubois, knowing what Dubois is capable of doing, it might have gave AJ some PTSD on the cool. Usyk isn't standing meat bag like Zhang. Caballero can cut off the ring well, though. Yeah, it's going to be that type of fight. Usyk will have to worry about somebody that is going just as heavy to the body as the head. That's going to make it interesting because, Usyk is going to be, that would be a good fight. And I like to see how those guys work with each other. I would like to see how that fight unfolds. But, this is boxing, the sport that we love, that we hate so much for a fucking reason. And I don't think we're going to see a fight like that. Hunter is ready for Andy. I believe Hunter will beat Andy. Andy Ruiz will be beaten by someone like Mike Hunter easily. Mike Hunter can easily outbox Andy. The only way he gets Andy in the fight is he tries to fight too close to Andy and start trading shots and start getting lackadaisical in there and start getting careless. And then here comes an Andy Ruiz left hook. He has to be careful with that because Andy can still crack and his punches are very explosive and his hands are very, very fast. So, yeah, it is what it is. Do Americans box fans know about Caballo? Not really. Now, I think that's another issue too. They don't really know about him as much. Because, I mean, he's based in Germany and he's supposed to have a German fight. I don't know if that's a turkey card or whatever, but I think it needs to be against someone that we know. It needs to be another challenge. There shouldn't be a time where Caballo gets comfortable by fighting someone that's a weak opposition. I think the stakes and the opposition supposed to be up here so he'll stay sharp on the edge where he needs to be. That's where he needs. That's who he needs to fight. Someone in the top 10. Nobody that we never heard of, no bullshit plumber slash janitor that works at a mechanic shop, then puts part-time in at the boxing gym after hours. I don't want him to fight anyone like that. I want him to fight someone that we know about. That's only fair. An Effie Ajagba or somebody. Fabio Wardley. Yeah. Be a good fight. Shit. Frank Sanchez for a rematch. Jared Anderson. Someone that we know. Quan, you're obsessed with trying to downplay Usyk and using examples of older fighters. Hunter will whoop Wardley. Yeah, I think he'll whoop Wardley too. But then, who's to say that that fight will happen? Frank versus Ortiz. I don't want to see that. Ortiz is too old for Frank. Franco box Ortiz all night, and Ortiz will try to go for a knockout. He doesn't have the legs in front of him. He'll get caught. He'll get dropped a few times. But one thing about him, he doesn't quit. He is a gangster. He is a fighter. So why don't Daniel fight Lawrence Akali? Nobody wants to see that shit. Have you seen Lawrence Akali fight? He wants to fight whoever because he knows that his style is not very becoming. People don't want to see him. Did you see that shit last weekend? Fabio only want money fights. He don't want no belt like he's making out. Yeah, I think everyone's looking. A lot of people are looking for the money. But no, I think as far as Daniel goes, AJ's fight is there. Effie Ajagba, I think, is a good one. Derek Chisora, I don't think he has much to gain by fighting Daniel. Jermaine Franklin is probably on the top of the list just based on the fact that he's been in there with tough guys and gave him a go, right? So, who else? Of course, you got Caballel and others, so it is what it is. Akoli is a boring fighter. He won't survive with the top. We'll see. AJ needs to run it back with Triple D. Fabio can't box. Frank Warren and Bruno, big African, and can't spell right now. Daniel versus Moses Atoma. Kurt, I get Caballel versus Bakari Jololov. I got to give it to Caballel because Jololov, he's good, but I think he moves a bit, and I think it'll be easier for it would be easier for Caballel to just simply just cut off the ring and chop him down. Because I mean, he doesn't throw. He throws shots from certain angles, but once you get mid range to him, I think Caballel will eat Bakari Jololov alive. Is Hrgovic finished now? No, he's not finished. He just recently beat Joe Joyce, so he's good. So, yeah, I think those are some good options for Danny Dubois. He's taking a long break again, 6 months. I wish him the best. I hope he stays in there because, he may just want to spend money, but that might be because of why and how Stan takes it. But you guys, thank you. I'm about to start cooking. I got some more videos to go out. Dubois versus Ruiz would be a good fight. I would fancy that fight, but Ruiz is another guy like Michael Hunter. We ain't even seen him in activity, has killed these guys. So, on that note, I'm about to check out. Be blessed, and everyone has been counterpunched. Peace. I'm cooking steak again, bro. Steak, and I may cook some eggs with some cheese, with some avocado. I would love some jalapenos too on the side. That's what I'm going to cook, and I'm going to take 2 to the face because I ate 1 yesterday and got mad. You guys want to see what you want to see the steaks that I'm cooking? Do you guys want to see from Wise and Yes, Wise or No's? Do you want to see? Sure, let me show you. Why not? I've already got them seasoned, okay? They bring you guys over here to Chef Kurt's. This is Chef DeVille over here. Let me show you here what I got cooking. Boom. Okay. This is, damn, that shit looks like, well, I just seasoned them. So these are what you call chuck eye steaks, okay? These are cut off from the roast. So these are the most tender. It has a good combination of fat and meat, okay? And it is to die for. I take some olive oil with some, actually turn this on because it's ready to go. It's ready to go. So I take some olive oil with some garlic, some Irish garlic butter, and I let them rip and I let them cook. So I cook them at a high temperature. Oh, I could put on the wrong one. Okay, larger burner. Cool. Okay, so this is a larger burner. So I put this here and I let those suckers cook. I let it get nice and hot. I take some of my good olive oil. Well, in this case, I use a combination of avocado oil. Right? Which is good stuff. I'm going to tell you something else which is good that a lot of people don't know about. Pecan oil. This shit is very expensive, but it's very good, bro. Cold pressed virgin pecan oil. It is off the chain too. So between olive oil, avocado oil, and pecan oil, that's the oils you want. Not all that other bullshit. All that other stuff is bad for you. Okay? So then I use, it's got to be this type of garlic butter. This is some good stuff. This is the good shit. Then, can't forget my onions. And I make some onions. I got onions left. I don't have any, we got a shitload of eggs. And with the eggs, this is what I do with the eggs, right? I should have mushrooms. If I had those portobello organic mushrooms, I could make a nice little broth with the combination of onions and mushrooms, and then I just put it right on top and slaughter them both. So this is going to go well real soon. But anyway, yeah. That's what I got. My 2 steaks, because I try not to eat a lot of starches and shit like that. I try not to, oh yeah, of course I got my rosemary, so that's dope. So I put that in with the garlic as the steak finishes, and I cook them one at a time too. Then I keep that tallow, and then I throw those eggs in there, and then maybe about 3 eggs, and I scramble those, and I throw some cheese in. I might throw some onions in. Hell with it. Let's go Uncle Buck way, right? So then I do it that way too. So it's good. It's good. It's good stuff. Good stuff, man. Yeah. Okay. Everybody, go back to the body. Hey, body, go to your body. He already proved he could take body shots. Rewatch some of his fights, please. Yeah, he took some shots. I mean, he even took a shot from Danny Dubois. and like kind of nodded at him like, okay, I got you, buddy. You think I'm weak to the body? There's one for you. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. So I'm gonna cook that up. You know what? What time is it? It is 3:35. So I do need to make some calls because I do need to go to the post office before they close. But I'm gonna eat. I'm gonna cook first. But anyway, guys, love you guys. See you tomorrow. Our topic tomorrow will be Joseph Parker. Okay, and we gotta talk about Joseph because it's always justice for Joseph. But you guys be blessed. Have a great Friday. TGIF in the building, and you all have been counterpunched. Peace.